Welcome to another episode of Follow the Brand TV. I am your host, Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM, a 5-star personal brand and business development company. I want to take you on a journey through another deep dive into the world of personal branding and business development using compelling personal stories, business conversations, and tips to improve your brand. By listening to the Follow the Brand TV series, you will differentiate yourself from the competition and build trust with prospective clients and employers. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Make it one that will set you apart, build confidence, and reflect who you are. Building your 5-star personal brand is a great way to improve your skills and knowledge. If you have any questions for me or any of my guests, please email me at grant.mcgaugh@5starbdm.com. Now, let's begin with our next episode on the Follow the Brand TV.
Five-Star BDM, Brand Development Masters, is a professional consulting and advisory group keenly focused on business development services for the small to mid-sized business and entrepreneurs. Although every business is unique, they often share business development challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. Services include process improvement and operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our business and personal branding company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. This results in more business, more opportunities, better reach, positive outcomes. Visit www.5starbdm.com today to learn more.
132 miles per hour and $6.5 million in debt. This is not just a race. It is the story of relentless drive. Ed Rahill, CEO, author, and record holder, recounts, "We were really out of the whole race at that time." But he did not quit. 35 hours and 46 minutes later, Ed set the record for the fastest cross-continental endurance road race, averaging 132 miles an hour from Boston to San Diego. Behind the speed, Ed faced a different kind of race, $6.5 million in debt. "I had people who quit their secure jobs to work for me, and I wasn't paying them." The pressure was immense, but so was his resolve. Ed asked himself, "If I quit now, how will I feel 10 years from now?" For him, resilience equals legacy. He chose to hang in, determined to see it through. Life is like a mile relay race. Run your leg, then hand your baton of wisdom to the next generation, embodying the relay race theory of leadership. You can let life happen to you, or be the being that happens to life. Listen to 132 miles per hour and $6.5 million in debt on the Follow the Brand podcast with Grant McGaugh.
I want to welcome everybody to the Follow the Brand podcast. We are going to have a unique show today. I want to welcome everyone to an experience on both sides of the ball, the personal world and the business world, and the convergence of how they come together. And I call the life and times of Ed Rahill. He's going to convey to us his story, some of his experiences that I think will help the audience to grow and move forward. And before I keep going on and on and on, let's get him introduced. So, Ed, you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you. Grant, it's an honor to be here and talk to your audience. I'm Ed Rahill. I'm the author of 1 Mile at a Time, a project that I've been on for a number of years, and I plan on taking it to the next level. And I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to talk to you about it. It's a very unique situation to be in because the prior 30 years has been in corporate America as becoming a CFO of a company, taking it public, then becoming president, then starting my own company, becoming CEO, and then selling that. So I have 30 years of that, well, how in the hell did you get into this business of writing a book?
Yeah.
And it's really not a book about business. It's about life. It's really and I think what I'd like to share is the attitude of why you're willing to take on new things that are unfamiliar and try to do it, because I think that's part of the adventure of life. And so that's, a matter of fact, the heading on my book is 1 Mile at a Time. It says the memoir of the last great American road race and the adventure we call life. So I even have that in the title. I'm love to lay it out for you. What would your audience, how would you like to set this up so that I can
Well,
immediately get to the
let's
heart of it?
that's a great question of itself because you piqued my curiosity in what you're doing, why you do it, and that is really the purpose of this particular episode. That's what the Follow brand is all about. I love that you have a background as a chief financial officer. You speak finance. You know, finance is the language of
Yeah.
business. So I'm into the personal brand, business development, investment banking. Would you tick all three of those boxes? But the personal brand is the story of yourself. Now, you've done some things around, I call it from Le Mans to life lessons, where you've shared the watching, which I found this intriguing. 1966, 24 hours of Le Mans that sparked your passion for endurance racing. My question is this: what about that race lit the fire in you as a young boy, and
Yeah.
how has that passion shaped your life since?
I grew up in an automobile company. I grew up, my grandmother was the first woman ever to own and operate a Ford dealership in the United States back in the 30s. My grandfather and her, had two nickels and a dime to get started, and he was 36 or 34 and then convinced Henry Ford in the 30s to let him explore getting a dealership in Western New York. He ended up doing it, and the long story here is that he actually got it to where it was running, and then at 36, 37, he died of appendicitis. People died of that stuff back then.
Wow.
Yeah, so my grandmother had to take over with four kids. And so, and I basically was in many parts of my life raised by her. So I was involved in her life and the business and that. And her point was as soon as I was able to walk, I had to go down to the dealership and take garbage out, empty the pails. Then, but what we're talking about, and by the time I was 12, I was big enough or old enough to cut the grass. And I just happened to be on a Saturday doing that, and the salesman ran out, knew who I was, come on in, we'll listen to a race in France. And that was it was called the 24 Hours Le Mans. And the
Yeah.
interesting thing is, the reason I bring it up is because it was the first time I remember thinking, I want to do this. Up to that point, I was aware of cars. I had been exposed to the typical South Buffalo environment with drag racing and that type of thing, and that never really appealed to me. That always felt like that was, well, I don't know, I was burning tire, and what I was really doing was an uncontrolled rocket ship on wheels. And I at that time NASCAR was being born, and again, Ford was a big in NASCAR. And so I used to watch that, but after a couple hours of watching it on TV, I got bored with they were going. They just spent 2.5 hours turning left all the time. It just seemed to me that where is this? And Le Mans is a 24-hour endurance race where you drive nonstop. Well, you trade places with a partner every 4 hours, but you drive nonstop, and the objective is to see the one who can go the farthest in 24 hours is the winner. And it was over open roads that people drove on, in France all the time. They just closed 8, 10 miles off for the race. And that seemed to me what was most fascinating, the being able to get out there and drive in a real driving environment, not a racetrack. So
Let me
that
ask you
kind of
this.
got it
Let
going.
me ask you this. That's
Yep.
you park. I'm getting a memory from the 60s, and I remember seeing I think it was a movie, and maybe it's that movie that came out that there was a road race, and they were just, and it was a comedy. I think it was a comedy at the time.
This is going to lead right into that.
Yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah.
thinking
So I'm on the
about
right track, right?
you're thinking about the Burt Reynolds stuff, which was the Cannonball Run, the Gumball Rally, and I think the other one was Smokey and the Bandit. Interestingly enough, those movies became hits in Hollywood because unbeknownst to many people, that was really going on.
Okay.
And one thing I lay out in the book about cross-continental racing, endurance racing, it started in the 1860s with the Pony Express, where Buffalo Bill Cody was a Pony Express rider, and
Okay.
it was in case they were dropping the mail off, but they would ride as fast as they could to get from one end of the country to the other ocean to drop the mail off. And that became legendary, and people became, at the first time, aware of the vastness of the country and the romantic, picture of a cowboy riding as fast as he could. At 40 miles, they had these stations, and they would basically get off one horse and start it all over again.
Right.
And it got the imagination. Unfortunately, we had the Civil War, and that went away. But after that, and there's a method to my conversation here. So
now go right ahead.
After that, you had thousands of young men who had basically lives that really pretty much been upset with and disoriented because of having been in the war. And they were looking for opportunities. They had nowhere to go. And at that time, ranchers were starting moving out west and having cattle ranches and all those places in Texas and everything. And so this is when the cowboy was born.
Right, right.
It was right after the Civil War, because they would go out, they'd take what pay they had, buy a horse, a saddle, a rope, and they'd ride around from ranch to ranch to see if they could get a job. They were like freelancers.
Yeah.
And at that time, then they had these 1,000-mile cattle drives these cowboys would be employed with that. And what would happen, you drive from Abilene to the herd to Abilene to Texas to the stockyards, and they would get paid and they get drunk, and inevitably became a tradition. First one back to Abilene gets the prize, and they get out on their horses and ride as fast as they could for about a week to get there. And so that was the cross-continental, the long-distance endurance horse racing became part of the culture. The last big race was the 1893 Great Cowboy Race of 1893 from Nebraska to Chicago, that was sponsored by Buffalo Bill Cody and one of his Wild West show. The winner was going to get all he would get was a gold-plated Colt 45, and of course it was awarded. But that shook up. It actually got coverage in Europe. It became very famous. And but it was also a time when it was the culmination and the end of that type of racing, because you had the railroads taking over the cattle drives, you had barbed wire fence stopping it, and there was no longer a need for a cowboy. The only ones that would survive were ones that were full-time employees at a ranch. But the average cowboy, the 80% that were out there, their careers went away. And so that ended and it became nationally a real event. If you read the papers from back then, people interested in that race. And that was the end of it, but it wasn't, because in 1904, a group of men in New York City at a club challenged each other to a race across the country with their automobiles. And that was the very first cross-continental endurance race. Instead of a horse, you used a car. It took 44 days. And if you read the book, at the beginning, I have a foreword where I drove out to Oregon. It was from New York to Portland, Oregon, 44 days. A guy named Woodland, his driver, won that race. And the state of Oregon enacted 2 monuments in their state park honoring this event. And there's a picture of it, because what America today doesn't understand, because we're a totally different culture. We've matured and evolved. But back then, this stuff was big entertainment. And so it continued that race, there was a series of other races, and then a guy named Edwin Baker became the name Cannonball Baker, was setting records driving from LA to New York. All these guys are publicity hounds, by the way. They always made sure the cameras are there and that type of thing.
Well,
And
let me jump in there, Ed, because you hold the record for the fastest cross-continental endurance road race from Boston to San Diego.
yes,
That is a heck of an experience. And I want you, if you could take us to that, because riding across the country, probably, I don't know if you're going the speed limit or not, but there's got to be some high points, some tough moments. What does it feel like to, first of all,
it,
you finally crossed the finish line doing
well,
that?
it was just understand that was the last great American road race, and I'll explain why. But to also understand that there was 100 years of history behind that race.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so it was not, it was basically, I ran it twice. The second time was called the Four Ball Rally. 3,126 miles in 35 hours and 46 minutes. Just to give you a reference point, the average speed, including all stops, I had 6 hours delays. I was arrested in upstate New York. I was arrested in Ohio, broke down in Illinois, and we were really out of the whole race at that time. We were a good 6 hours behind everybody else. And I averaged from the Mississippi River to Adrian, Texas, about 132 miles an hour, and that got us back in the race. And then from that point on, it was just pedal to the metal. My partner and I just ran the thing as fast as we could. There's some really fun stuff that happened in it, a lot of interesting. This was the nation's most aggressive in American history. It was the most nationally aggressive law enforcement effort in the country. All the state police from Massachusetts to California were coordinated. They had tracking going on. They knew when I got arrested in Ohio, didn't even give the guy my license. He said, "Hey, Mr. Rahill, come on back to my car. We got something to talk about." And he showed me the APB, the All Points Bulletin, which I have a copy in my book, about the fact that the race has started and we got to get out there.
Yeah.
They were out there hunting, and he would laugh about it. The ticket. He said, "This is my day off, Ed. But when I heard you guys are running, I volunteered to come in because I wanted to do this." And he ended up getting what we call the Super Trooper Award. He arrested four of us. At the award banquet, we officially get the tickets, who did it, and we just sent, no other trooper before that had done anything, but we sent a notice, "Hey, Bob, congratulations." He showed up at the awards banquet, get his trophy with his
Yeah.
wife. It was a different world back then. There was an adventure, and it was the end because the population was growing. It was going to become too dangerous to do it anymore. The traffic would be too much. Legally, it became very difficult to do it because lawsuits were now getting, the sense of humor about the race kind of dissipated.
Mhm.
And I basically tell people it should never happen again, because it's with when you had 150 million people in the country, you could do this. But when you got 330 million on the road,
Yeah.
it's
Much more
too dangerous.
difficult. Much more
But it was
difficult.
the last great race, and it was an adventure, and it was planning, and it was preparation, and it was courage and guts, because it was you get physically, emotionally, and beat up on a race like that, especially when you're being chased and having to watch out for getting arrested. And it
It's
was
so funny.
an event, but it was an example, I think, it was an example of trying to accomplish something in life different than the business environment, but to use the same skill sets. The skill sets are anticipation, planning, choosing the right partner. When you're a CEO, it's who your employees are going to make you look good or bad.
Yeah.
It's an example. Getting support. We basically were sponsored by General Motors in this race. Nobody knows about that. And in the book, you'll discover the environment. The year before I won it with Tim, my partner, Porsche sent over a 911 team from their race car development group, and they won it. This was an international event, and it was and the reason how we were lucky enough to get GM is that the GM Proving Grounds engineers in Milford, Michigan, were following these races and were pissed off because GM would not support any American doing it. So they called us up and did a clandestine support. I bought the car. They made it into something a lot more than what the car was, and then I got it back.
Yeah.
And then they called me afterwards, asked me if they could have the car back and give me a new car because the word had gotten out to headquarters of downtown Detroit that somebody was at GM was sponsoring this race and they wanted to hide the evidence.
Yeah.
But that's all went on, and it was a great experience.
I tell you what, now you got some family history around this. I mean, you made a promise, I think, to your grandmother that you're going to break the cycle of broken dreams. And that is a huge, huge, huge dream. So how did you keep that promise?
And I think that this is a story of America too, because all of us, if we go back far enough in our family history, we have really very difficult times. My great grandmother came over from Ireland at 14 and left her family, never saw her family or siblings again, and was sent to Buffalo, New York to become a maid in a house on Delaware Avenue, and that's how she spent her life. She had my grandmother as one of her kids, and at the age of, she only got a fifth grade education because she had to. The family needed her to go out and work to help support the family, and her job in South Buffalo was to walk the railroad tracks to collect coal. And she said to me that this was a good job. She'd be able to sell the coal and be able to bring some home for cooking and heat. And that was the environment, but none of her generation and prior generations, including my mother, who basically had to work and give up her dreams of travel and becoming everything. She was a single mother, got a divorce. She would say to me, the entire family is a history of broken dreams. Nobody, your great grandmother, myself, your mother have never been able to pursue the dreams. They had to pursue the responsibility. I'm asking you have the opportunity now to break that string of broken dreams for your family going forward. And that was really the driver in my life, one of the drivers that caused me to continue to pursue a career. I never pursued a career for the money. I never pursued a career for that. It was really to try to establish myself as a solid platform for the next generation. And key to the book, you'll see it in the back. I use an analogy, and you're going through my high school years, including athletics and sports and football. But at the end of it, I say what I've learned. But I wrote this book, and I wrote it because I wanted to tell the remaining generation that life is like a relay race. Mm-hmm. It's like a mile relay race. And there are runners who run their leg before you, and there are runners that are going to run it after you. And when that runner who before you, hopefully your ancestors, when they come to turn, they're handing off the baton of wisdom and experience to you. And your job is to run that damn thing as far as you can. Yes, you do live for yourself. Yes, you do try to become as best you can be. But there's going to come a time when you're doing the fourth turn, coming in the last 100 yards, where you got to start thinking about handing your baton off to the next generation. And that's the theme I'm trying to get in the book, in the driver. I want to tell, because people say, well, do you mean you have to give up things for the next? No, you don't. You need to grow and become the best you can, but you have to have the attitude that you do have the responsibility to help the next generation to become better than you. And that is what handing the baton off is. So I wanted people to understand that, being in it for your life, for yourself, in growing and living your life is good, as long as at the end of it you understand that the knowledge you gained you want to give to others. And that's where it's really important, because sometimes I think people don't understand about their responsibilities to other people in your family. Your responsibilities is I don't have it in the book, but I'm standing in my home office, my 12, 13-year-old son screaming and crying at me because I'm on his case about something that he dropped the ball on. He says, all you want me to do is become like you. And I said, no, I want you to become better than me. That's what I'm breaking you up for. And that's
Aha.
the way I like being a
That's a
parent.
mic
That's the
drop moment
attitude.
right there. You got to be
That's
better. I mean, that's the responsibility of that further generation, and that's what we always look at. Maybe it's a tall order, but you got to be better in what you're doing, your zone of genius, what you've been doing. And like you mentioned, now you've been the CFO of ITC Holdings, CEO of Gridlands, which is a Blackstone company. And so here's the question that comes out of that, what you're talking about, which is very important for people to understand. I want to understand even more, like what is harder? Is it closing a high stakes business deal or racing across the country on the clock, coming around for that fourth leg and handing off that baton? Which one is harder?
what I love about the race. I'm going to answer your question. Just give me a second. It's going to come right back. The race in this book is a metaphor for life and how to live it. Because every time we pursue anything in life, I guarantee you, at least half the time, if not more, you're going to get slammed and knocked down, and you're going to not think you can do it. The key for my success in business is basically not it's and I talk about it. I got knocked down and it seemed impossible, but I got back up. It was really it's what my grandmother says in the book. I have the quote in the back. The difference between winners and losers in life are the survivors. The point is, can you hang on longer than anybody else?
Hmm.
And that's the story of the race, hanging on when everybody else and you were going to give up, and starting. You should have seen what it was like when I started Grid Alliance. I was $6.5 million in debt. I had people who quit their jobs, paying jobs at secure utilities to come work for me, and I wasn't paying them. They were doing it on the come, and they had families and mortgages. And talk about not sleeping at night.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, all I wanted was this business to be a success. Blackstone came in, and I'm telling you, you got to recognize a break when you see it. I was talking to a lot of private equity, but they were all dragging their feet. But Blackstone over lunch said, "We'll do the deal. It's a handshake deal. We'll do it right now." But I had to give up the company.
Yeah.
I was CEO and I get a little stock, but I had to give it up. They owned it. But what did I get out of it? I got a chance to build a company. I had a dream. I really didn't have a big economic stake in it anymore, but I got to pay my people and I got to pay off my debt so I don't go bankrupt. And I was that freaking close. And willing is hanging in there that one more time. You come so close to are just a razor thin moment. And I know this because there's times in other ventures that I gave up on and I regretted it
Mhm.
because I realized that I just didn't hang in. But every success that's worked out in this book and in my life is hanging on that last one moment and not giving up. And so that's something I would like my kids to know, and I'd like the next generation to know. I do feel that our Gen Z group is just a little bit entitled and not understanding how they're going to run into problems when they get older. I just want them to understand. They don't see it now. But man,
No,
you live life. No, life is
no,
never
you
going to be
you
kind
don't
to you.
know until you know. But are you prepared for the race? Just like you just stated, are you prepared? Because if you keep thinking it's smooth sailing and you don't realize, what comes after
Yeah.
summer and fall is winter. I mean, that's just the cycles of life. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of timing and what that's really going to look like. You have spoke about one of my key principles in my framework, which I call the BRAVE framework, and that's resilience. You've got to have resilience. You got to prepare yourself and understand that, you're going to go through some things that aren't all that pleasant, but you've got to set a goal, whatever that goal is. To your point, man, going to bed at night knowing you're $500,000 in debt. You got people that are depending on you to finally pull it through. And at the end of the day, when you don't even see it, you come around the corner and there's some daylight. Blackstone with some daylight. And then you're like, I got to hand that baton off like right now. And then and get to the other side of what this journey is about. That's what I call the endurance in American culture, the endurance racing that you've done. And you just pointed to that unique role in the United States culture, history. I think you gave a great history lesson that I did not know, just going from Boston to San Diego. I want to understand, like, what do you think people are so fascinated? Why would they be so fascinated by this story? And what does it symbolize to you in the big picture?
It's a unique American cultural event that many Americans, unlike other societies in the world, Europe, you just go over to, nobody thinks they can do anything. They feel they have a role to play and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
What's been unique about this country, and it may not last forever, that you can see it, is that you have the ability to come here and actually have the audacity to think I can be better and I can do this. I can be the one that's in charge a little bit. You can be in Britain, you can't be an alpha male. It's not allowed in that society, or in France, it's not allowed. And what I use that in a term is that alpha males, have a little bit of a bad reputation because they think they're full of themselves a little bit. But the attitude is that I know that if I can dream it, I can do it. Or if I can dream it, I can try it. You don't, in other societies, you don't even get a chance to try.
Very true.
And you have the right to fail. That's what makes it so good. They just go right ahead. And I think that's part of the lesson I know I learned in my life is that, I remember several times, including starting Grid Lions, when I wanted to give up because I was really nervous about the debt and I was worried about everything. I remember saying to myself, if I quit now, how am I going to feel about myself 10 years? I says, I'm always going to wonder if I could have done it if I just hung in there longer.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's no shame in giving your best and failing. It just means you move on to something else. And that's what I'm trying to capture an attitude in this book is that you can overcome it. You do have the right to try. And that, failure is not, while winning can be temporary, failure is also not permanent. It's only permanent if it destroys you as a man and you don't go on. It's picking yourself back up that's the hero. And I think that little bit of subtle difference in our culture versus European culture and other places, I think is an important thing to understand. And I'm hoping that when I say a metaphor for life, the whole race is a metaphor. The massive preparation for it, and then having everything go wrong, and how you approach it.
That is true life. That right you said there, we all start out, some of us have a goal, you have a plan, here's your strategy. This is our go to market strategy. Let's say that's like breaking the huddle in football, right? Everybody has a plan. And I tell people this all the time that when they draw it up, in on the board, every play is a touchdown, and everybody knows it's not like that. There's resistance on the other side of the ball. There's somebody else with another agenda that's maybe not parallel to yours, so it's going to run into yours. So the plan always gets altered. But if you have that North Star in front of you, that this is the goal, the path forward may not be straight. It might be very cyclical, or it could be almost unrecognizable at the end of the race. But at the end of the day, you always learn something from your journeys. I like what you have taken us through for the last half hour or so, and taking us from an endurance race, something that was fun. You took us to the past, you took us into the present, and then you took us into the future. My last question to you, as you begin to hand off this baton in this particular episode, but then in your life and your journey, and you put it into your book, What do you want to tell that generation that's coming ahead of you that's now got that handout to get that baton? What would you say?
I pray that they have the attitude I was trying to lay out. When you're born into this life, you've been given a gift. You've been given a gift to make something better than what you were when you were born, or just the way I like to say it, you have a choice to be the type of human being where life happens to, or the type of being that happens to life. And it's your choice. And so what I lay out in this, trying to lay out in this book, because I talk about personal development all the way to the end of winning, it is I laid out what I hope is a roadmap of how you could approach life and make that happen. Because I honestly believe I've never met somebody who didn't have a real gumption and tenacity that couldn't get anybody who's going. I'll tell you, I will never go up against anybody that has the guts to pull himself up after being knocked down. That's not a type of guy you want to go up against. I'm telling you right now. And it's also life is that way. And so I want them to be the happiest, most successful human being they can be. I want them to feel good, self-actualize. But I also want them to understand that the good Lord's going to call you home someday. So before you do that, pass your gift of what you learned on to the next generation so they can take advantage of it and become the best they can be.
I love that.
That's
I
what I do.
love that. I only got one more question for you, Ed.
Sure.
And I've been asking this question for a lot of my guests because I like to get real feedback in real time. You've been on a lot of podcasts, you've done a lot of interviews, you've talked to a lot of different people. This is your first opportunity to be a guest on the Follow Brand podcast. How was your experience?
Superb. Let me explain why I love this interview. I got to talk. We got to talk about the person behind the events and what it was, what the personal experience was, and the right attitude. Because what I really am, that's what I want. This is part of my, I say my legacy. This is my turning the corner with the baton. This puts my baton. I try to get a movie made out of it, but after that, I'll probably move on to something else as long as I have the opportunity to do so, and maybe go back into business. But I want to take the moment to make sure I can look back at my life, and I tried to do my best to pass the baton on to those who come after me. I feel that's my responsibility to the future generation and to the human race. I'm a proud member of the human race. I like being one. I like humans. I like people. I just want to be something that did something positive in my life.
Well, you certainly have done that, and I want to appreciate you being on the show. Never had a guest quite like yourself that has
Thank you.
such a story that I don't think anyone will be able to tell a story like that because I just got these visions. Just remember the 1960s and some of these movies that came out. They had I think one of them was called The Great Race, and it was
Yeah.
hilarious. And you lived in that. And it's not a movie for you. You actually did that.
The car culture. I mean, when I grew up, speed limits were a suggestion.
Yes,
That they were
exactly.
not. I'm not kidding you. And the cops were different. The cops were just like you and me. They basically would. What if they thought you were a decent guy? They wouldn't. They didn't have a quota, so they wouldn't give you. They go to hell on you if they thought you were a jerk. But I mean, I got pulled over when I was 17 with my sister. Doing in the backwoods in Guardville, New York. And the cop pulled me over and he spent 15 minutes giving me a lecture.
Hmm.
And you know what he said to me? He
What's
says,
that?
I know who you are. I know you work at that dealership. I know you drive cars all the time. He says, I'm not worried about your ability to handle your car. I'm worried about the little old lady in a Rambler taking a turn. She's over the line and you knock her out. He says, that's what you have to think about the next time you step on the gas.
Yeah.
And I look at me. How many decades later, I'm telling you what I remembered what he said to me when I was 17.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Those are the types of cots I love because
Yeah.
he affected me even here at this in 2025.
I love it. Now you're gonna tell the audience because you talked about the book. They got to know where they can they get the book and how they can contact you.
It's 1 mile at a time. You're catching me at this is the original. We're doing a second edition with a little bit different cover, and it's going to be out on Amazon, and it'll be available in at Barnes and Noble and bookstores that ask for it. 1 mile at a time. Edward M. Rahill, and I'm having an audiobook come out, and we're going to do the full score on it. And I have just hired a marketing group so that to get some attention to it, because right now my next venture, which is a long shot, I just had 2 people in the film business tell me I'm crazy, can't do it. I want this to be a movie.
Yeah.
So I'm going to figure, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to figure it out.
Oh, you're gonna get it done. Somebody director, they're gonna listen to this podcast and they're gonna remember the Great Race. And like we got somebody that actually did the Great Race. They went from Boston to San Diego. They got stories. They're talking about where speed limits were suggestions. I want to see that movie. I want to see what that looks like.
Well,
For
it's
sure.
it was good, and I mean there was some excitement we haven't talked about. When we got into Arizona and then finally California, the California Highway Patrol was really, wanted to stop us, and we were able to get through that. But you can read it in the book.
That's why
Thank
we're going
you.
to see the movie. But I want to thank you again for being a guest on the Follow Brand podcast. Encourage your entire audience to see all the episodes of Follow Brand at 5-Star BDM. That is the number 5. That is star, STAR, BDM, B for brand, D for development, informasters.com. I want to thank you again for being on the show.
And thank you for the opportunity. I really, really appreciate it. This has been fun. Thank you.
All right. Fun for me as well. Thank you.
Man, who's your favorite podcaster? Man, Grant, man. I love Grant's podcast. Well, who's Grant? I'm going to send you the link. I love Grant.
I love the interview. I've done a lot of these, and this is a great one. It's always great to talk to people who know what they're doing, and it's clear you're a great host, and you've done this many times before.
I feel great that we're having this conversation here. Met a new person in business who I previously didn't know.
It was an amazing podcast. Grant is an amazing interviewer. I learned a lot.
Really enjoyed this. Great questions, great talk track. Super appreciate you having me on. It's been a very fun episode to talk about a lot of things that I don't always get to dive into. So this has been a fantastic conversation.
I wouldn't be where I am here today, of course, not on this stage. However, not in my current business projection and my current business model without working with you.
The difference between influence and legacy, it's the platform that carries your voice. You're not visible because you lack talent. You're visible because your brand doesn't speak. I've built 5-Star BDM to change that. Most leaders have the expertise, but not the presence, the vision, but not the vehicle. Across 3 cities, one brand is helping leaders rise above the noise. Here in the heart of Omaha, strategy isn't left to chance. It's engineered with precision. In Omaha, we engineered your Zachner brand, AI-powered, data-driven, precise. TISA went from a local nonprofit to a national speaker in 90 days. We don't guess your brand strategy, we build it. On the shores of St. Croix, your brand takes on depth and meaning, shaped through curated retreats and legacy experiences. In St. Croix, strategy becomes soul. Our retreats don't just refine your message, they rediscover your mission. One founder rewrote his entire company story here. Funding followed 30 days later. This is where leaders remember who they were meant to be. In vibrant Miami, momentum meets amplification, transforming your voice into a movement. In Miami, your brand becomes a movement. Business development accelerators, audience building. Joy came with an old website and an outdated company name, but she left with 5,000 followers and a waiting list. This is where you scale with soul. 3 cities, 1 mission, your legacy ignited. It started with a thread. Let's pull it together. Stop blending and start leading. 5-Star BDM, where legacy is engineered, embodied, and ignited. Visit 5starbdm.com and book your brand audit today.
In today's fast-paced financial landscape, access to capital is the key to success. At the heart of this revolution is Case Capital Markets, powered by SETI Case. Here, innovation and investment converge, creating a dynamic environment where businesses can thrive and reach new heights. Introducing Grant McGaw, the Senior Advisor at Case Capital Markets. Grant is a visionary leader, dedicated to connecting businesses with institutional capital and strategic funding. His expertise opens doors to game-changing investment opportunities, making him an invaluable partner for companies looking to scale and succeed in the competitive world of finance. With an impressive 25 years in technology, 9 years in healthcare, and 6 years in investment banking, Grant McGaw has a proven track record. He has successfully closed over $500 million in high-value transactions, seamlessly bridging technology, healthcare, and infrastructure with innovative financial solutions. His experience is a testament to his ability to drive success. Case Capital Markets offers businesses direct access to over 32,000 venture capital firms, private equity funds, family offices, and institutional investors. This network empowers mid-market companies with under $100 million in revenue to scale beyond their limits, unlocking unprecedented growth potential. Debt, equity, growth capital, public offerings. These are the building blocks of the future of capital access. Whether you're scaling a business, seeking investment, or exploring market expansion, Grant McGaw is your trusted partner. Together, you can unlock capital and create long-term financial success. The future belongs to those who take action. Are you ready to elevate your business?
The 5-star BDM LinkedIn social selling course can help you stand out and attract the right connections and opportunities. We will help you professionally create your profile, provide personalized recommendations for improvement, and help you create and share engaging content to help you showcase your skills and expertise. Our 5-step course makes connecting with industry experts, finding job opportunities, and building meaningful relationships easy. Social selling can be an effective way for you to generate leads and close deals, but it does have its challenges. Our course will help you solve the problems associated with digital networking. If you need help personalizing your outreach and messaging, which can lead to low response rates and a lack of engagement. If you need help targeting the right prospects, this course is for you. With so much noise on social media, it can be challenging to cut through the clutter and get your message in front of the right people. Our course will personalize your messaging using our targeting tools and research. You can identify and reach the right prospects. We will also show how to deliver high quality, valuable content that attracts and engages prospects and clients. The 5-star BDM LinkedIn social selling course will address these challenges by implementing best practices. As a result, you can improve your social selling efforts and generate better results. Are you looking to improve your LinkedIn profile and reach a wider audience? Social selling is an effective way for you to generate leads and close deals, but it does have its challenges. Some common problems we saw with social selling include lack of visibility. If your profile is not optimized or you're not actively participating in groups or sharing content, it can be difficult to get noticed on LinkedIn. Number 2, lack of personalization. Some businesses struggle with personalizing their outreach and messaging, which can lead to low response rates and a lack of engagement. Also, difficulty targeting the right prospects. It can be difficult to identify and target the right prospects on social media, especially if you don't have access to robust targeting tools. And number 4, outdated content. If your LinkedIn profile or content is not up to date, it can give the impression that you're not actively engaged on the platform or that your skills and experience are not current. And lastly, poor quality content and not leveraging video and picture to convey ideas. To solve these problems, the 5-star BDM LinkedIn Optimization Social Selling Video course will help you focus on personalizing your outreach and messaging to better connect with prospects. In module number 1, the foundation, we will help you create high quality, valuable profile that will attract and engage. In module 2, the story, optimizing your LinkedIn profile to make sure it is complete, accurate, and visually appealing. In module number 3, the experience, using your targeting tools and research to identify and reach out to the right prospects. In module number 4, engagement, establishing a consistent follow-up process to nurture leads and build relationships over time. And lastly, in number 5, execution. Understand the metrics to help you measure your brand effectiveness. By addressing these challenges and implementing best practices, you will improve your social selling with the 5-star BDM LinkedIn Optimization Social Selling course. Listen to what others have said about 5-star BDM.
Grant, I'll tell you why I'm here, right? I'm here because I love your brand. When we started chatting on LinkedIn, we connected. I checked you out and I go, man, this guy knows what he's talking about.
You were definitely instrumental in helping to shape that knowledge of who I am. Because at first I thought, well, I am an actress. I am a writer. I am a producer. I am a speaker. And so I said, well, I must be a creative communicator. I know that there is a narrative thread here, but you nailed it when you said you are a storyteller. So you brought it all together in this cohesive title.
Sign up today to improve your social selling opportunities.
Are you searching for a website that truly reflects your mission and vision? The 5-star BDM website services portfolio, led by Grant McGaw, transforms ideas into impactful digital platforms for personal brands, nonprofits, and small businesses. Each project in our portfolio tells a unique story. From JADICC, a infection control expert organization with professional polish, to Ekaba World Community, a dynamic hub for events and memberships, and Pink Lotus Project, empowering women with donation and program features, every site is crafted using our Brave branding framework and mobile-first development. Our portfolio is more than a gallery. It highlights project context, purpose, and measurable outcomes. We demonstrate brand consistency, strategic user experience, and deliver results that build trust and drive engagement. A world-class portfolio proves capability, sets you apart from competitors, and positions you as an authority. It is your most trusted sales tool and reputation asset. Ready for a website that leads with purpose? Book a discovery consultation or request a brand audit today. One bad review can destroy your business. In today's world of open review platforms, small businesses are under attack, and your reputation is always on the line. Some platforms use mafia tactics. They create the problem, then charge you to fix it. Your reputation starts at search and ends at checkout. But what happens in between? What if I told you your worst reviews are actually your greatest opportunity? One review that you've replied to with empathy is worth 100 5-star reviews all day long. 2 entrepreneurs from Utah are rewriting the rules with authenticity, empathy, and strategy. This isn't just about reviews. It's about the future of your brand. Before someone else writes your story, take back your reputation. Follow the brand. The Reputation King is available now. What if leadership wasn't about titles, but trials? What if your breakthrough lay beyond fear? In First Light, The brave path to authentic leadership. Embark on a journey of courage, truth, and purpose. Face the wolf. Hear first thunder. Wield the sword and shield. This is more than a book. It's a calling. Are you ready for first light? Healthcare is evolving rapidly, and future leaders must adapt swiftly. Dr. Sandra Dunbar Smalley shares her journey from clinician to chief learning officer, highlighting the essence of modern leadership. Transitioning from the clinical floor to the executive suite requires more than just expertise. Dr. Dunbar Smalley emphasizes that leadership today isn't about having all the answers. It's about fostering environments where innovation, learning, and human connection can thrive. While mentors provide invaluable guidance, sponsors are crucial for creating opportunities. Dr. Dunbar Smalley underscores the importance of both in navigating the path to leadership. Many leaders, including Dr. Dunbar Smalley, experience imposter syndrome. Yet, they continue to step forward, embracing challenges and growing through them. Discover the 3 pillars transforming healthcare leadership: leading self, leading others, and leading results. These principles guide leaders in creating impactful change. Don't just listen, lead. Subscribe now to Follow the Brand podcast.
Sometimes when you have a particular skill set, you may not even feel you can move in different avenues, but someone will see that. So I think there are 2 camps of people: those that really want to climb that ladder and they're very eager to do it. And then there are those that I call the reluctant leader, where doors may be open and you have to choose whether you're going to go into them. And so I'm in that second camp where I've really just accepted and felt very blessed that people have said, I'd like to give you this opportunity.
Hey everyone, it's Grant McGaw, CEO of 5-Star BDM and host of the award-winning Follow the Brand podcast and TV series, where I help you to build a 5-star brand that people will follow. My genius is personal brand development through intelligent communication and helping you achieve your business and career goals. I am a requested speaker on digital technology and brand development issues. I want to work with you to increase the value of your current opportunities while attracting new ones. Every one of you is unique, and we all share challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. As a super connector, I work with you as an executive coach to guide you along the complicated business and career development road, providing the enhancement tools and information you need to succeed. Together, I will help you succeed in today's challenging business climate. I will evaluate and measure your progress. Best of all, I am right alongside you every step of the way. Build the brand called you. Genius is coming. Tune in for our next show or click on our website at www.5starbdm/followthebrandtv. Thank you.